Back on the Marching to Madness Zoomcast podcast, we have a very special guest, fresh off a Final Four appearance, a 28-4 record. It's Coach Kelvin Sampson of the Houston Cougars. He led the Cougars to the last weekend of the college basketball season, as it was their first time since 1984. Welcome back, Coach.
Ken, always good to be on with you. Look forward to talking a little ball today.
Hey, I read a really solid story about the family aspects of your basketball program and how those bonds, were a part of building a Final Four caliber program. Of course, Kellen's your assistant, Lauren's on your staff, but also you have Quannas White and Hollis Price, who played for you at Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. When I came back to college, probably the first year, it coincided with a lot of high school kids that played high school ball here in Houston that chose to go to other colleges. I'm not going to name their names, but whether it was Duke or Florida State or Michigan, North Carolina, wherever. Yeah. But they went there and they had good careers. And a lot of them went overseas to play. So their careers were winding down, and a lot of them knew me or knew somebody that knew me, and they were reaching out about, wanting to get into college coaching. And, my feeling was, if I'm going to hire somebody, I'm going to hire my players. Because if I hire these kids from these other schools, they should be calling their coaches. They should be calling the guy they played for. So I said, I don't need a recruiting specialist. Recruiting is relationships and work and being relentless. I don't need to hire somebody that I don't know to do that. We can teach our guys to do that. Quannas White has become a great recruiter. Kellen is one of the best I've ever been around. Hollis Price, going on 8 years since we've been here. I saw a stat the other day that the 4 winningest programs in the country the last 4 years is Gonzaga 1. I think they have 123 wins in 4 years. Houston is 2, 111, and Virginia's 3 with 108. Well, that's with Kellen, Quannas, Hollis, and Lauren. And then Casey Beard, who I moved up from video coordinator to replace Alvin Brooks. Alvin took the head job at Lamar. I've been knowing Casey for 10 years. I worked with him. Casey and I and Jay Triano worked with the Canadian senior national team for 3 summers, helping them qualify for the Olympics. So I hire guys that I'm familiar with, that are loyal, that just want to work, and this staff really is the reason why we built a great foundation here. Kellen's had opportunities to leave as a head coach. Quannas has had opportunities to leave. Alvin finally did. But all my guys eventually will be head coaches because they're really good at what they do.
Yeah, and getting the program back to the Final Four for the first time in 37 years, talk about building this program now as it takes a seat alongside a really solid Houston sports culture. I mean, the Astros have a World Series. The Rockets, I think they've been before this year, they were in the semifinals 5 of 8 years in a row with a couple of finals appearances, and in the Texans.
Yeah. Yeah. And we found our niche. I've lived in Houston for 11 years now, 3 with the Rockets and going on 8 with the Cougars. You make a great point, Ken. Most of the schools I've coached at have been, smaller towns that the big dog was the college. University of Oklahoma football is almost like an NFL program. It's how they ran it. I was there 12 years. Yeah. Washington State is a super college basketball town. Great college campus, great college environment. But Houston, the fourth largest city in the United States. We have 4 major sports franchises, including an MLS team, the Dynamo, or Major League Soccer team. But everybody kind of has their own niche. The Texans are probably the most popular because of football in Texas. The Rockets have done awesome. If Chris Paul doesn't hurt his hamstring, I think they win the NBA championship that year. The Astros, obviously, they could win it again this year. They're that good. But we're over here at the University of Houston. We're about 2.5 miles from Toyota Center, where the Rockets play. We have a great relationship with all the teams. If you come courtside, before COVID, you'd look over there and you'd see Bregman and Altuve at our games. You see J.J. Watt and Watson, quarterback from Clemson. He comes to a lot of our games. Obviously, James Harden, Eric Gordon, Chris Paul, P.J. Tucker. I coached P.J. Tucker and Chris Paul on the USA team many years ago. So we have a good relationship with all those teams, and they do a great job supporting us. And it's been a fun ride getting this program to where it's at.
Yeah, and Quinton Grimes had a key role here in, of course, the Final Four run, and he's first-round pick of the Knicks. What do you think will make him a solid pro, and then maybe envision his role with the New York Knickerbockers?
Well, it's hard for me to envision his role because I don't know the roster.
Yeah.
At NBA, you don't win games with rookies. I know that. You don't win them. You don't win NBA college games at the Final Four level with a bunch of freshmen either, unless they're, Michigan's Fab Five or Anthony Davis. They don't have the inexperience will get them eventually. But Quentin has an NBA body. He is 6'5". Now he's not around 6'5". He's 6'5", and he weighs 215 pounds. He's really good athlete. He plays like an NBA player. Where Quentin really elevated his game was he became addicted to work in the gym. He didn't talk about it. He did it. He was in the gym at all hours of the night. And he was one of 2 players this year to make 100 or more threes. Now, we had a condensed schedule because of COVID. Normally, there's a lot of kids do it, but there's only 2 guys did it. And Quentin was one of them, and he shot over 40%. And he can guard the dribble, Ken. There's a lot of guys that, they do what the coach tells them to do to get the help side, to close out, but they're not really getting a lot done. Now, I had a really good defensive team, but Dejan Giroux, if we're playing somebody like Syracuse and Buddy Boeheim, I could put Dejan on a kid that liked to come off screens or was running all over the place. But if we played somebody like Rutgers with that Geo Baker kid who was really good off the bounce, I would always put Quentin on those guys. So Quentin can guard the dribble. When he went up to New York for his workout, I got feedback from them, and the 2 things Thibodeau liked about him was his defense, his rebounding, and then the fact that he can make threes. But I don't know what kind of role he'll have this year because Tibbs probably not going to play rookies a lot because he wants to win now, and I'm sure he's going to pack his roster with veterans. I think New York finished 4th last year. They were 4th seed in the East. And for them to stay at that level, they're going to have to play their veterans.
Coach, thinking about Quentin Grimes and that Final Four run, as you go back through last season, what are a couple of things that stood out that might have been the ascension of the team, to make a Final Four run, last season?
Yeah, I think for our team, like a lot of teams, for a while there, Ken, our most valuable player was our trainer, John Houston.
Yeah.
Because every kid from June until January, I think every kid tested positive. And some of them were, got really sick and some didn't, but they still had to quarantine. So we had a stretch in late the month of December and early January, we were kind of fractured. We had to shut down for 6 days total. And then when we came back, we kind of brought them back a few at a time. Eventually, they allowed us to have 6 at practice. That's 3 teams of 2 or 2 teams of 3, whatever what you want to do that day. I guess you could go skeleton stuff, but it took us a while. The kid that I thought was going to probably be our leading scorer, Caleb Mills, who wound up transferring to Florida State. We really never had him. He had a bad sprained ankle. We played Texas Tech early in the season, and he re-injured it in that game a little bit. So he was out on, I think he played in 4 total games and was really never himself. But if COVID had not hit, I don't think he would have transferred. I really think everything that he went through was tough on him mentally. But that turned out to be a blessing for us because it allowed kids to slot more. Everybody kind of got into a role. We knew that now, Dejan, you're the starting point guard. Quentin, you become the go-to guy. And then Marcus, you become this role. And now off the bench was a freshman, Tremont Mark, a really, really talented kid. So sometimes less is more. Sometimes more is less. It just depends. A lot of that stuff is unscripted. And as a coach, you're just always thinking on your feet, having to evolve or adjust. I went to Camp Arif, John, in Kuwait with the Department of Defense, and we're on this Army base. And the first thing you see when you drive into the Army base, when you go through security, is adapt and overcome. That's the number one mantra or the creed of the United States Army, is adapt and overcome. And I thought about that a lot last year as we were navigating through COVID and through the season. Not just us, we weren't special. Everybody was going through this, and a lot of teams had it way worse than we did. But we were constantly having to adapt, and then we had to overcome. And we made our mind up early on that we're not going to make any excuses. We've got thousands and thousands and thousands of American citizens and people all over the world that are dying from COVID.
Right.
So for us to come up with some kind of silly, empty, hollow excuse about this affecting basketball is just ridiculous. So it was a blessing to go through the year with that team. Once everybody got slotted, Justin Gorham at the 4 spot was just that kid lived to rebound. Every time the ball was shot at either end, it was like, that's mine. I'm going to go get it. He thought every time the ball hit, it was like somebody's passing him the ball. He just went and got the ball. But he was a culture kid. That was a fun team to coach. The 3 losses, I think we were 28-3 going into that last game. And the 3 losses we had were, tough losses, games we obviously probably thought we were going to win or should win or could, or like my father used to say, don't ever say you should win. You could have won. But just a spectacular experience. So thankful for that kind of team. And but so much credit has to go to our trainer, John Houston. He did a great job helping our kids get through their testing and quarantine and all the stuff that we had to go through. And then our kids overcame a lot of stuff. And I cannot give enough credit to my staff, Ken. I got a great staff, man. I am blessed to have the staff we have.
Yeah. Going to the hardwood this year, you got a nice deep backcourt. Of course, Marcus Sasser returns. He's your returning leading scorer at 13.7 points. He made 78 threes. Tremont Mark got a mantra, a little bit of making clutch shots. Jamal Shedd is back, and then you add Kyler Edwards from Texas Tech and Taze Moore from Cal State Bakersfield.
Yeah. One of the things I like about being able to work our guys out in the summer is you get to put your eyeballs on your transfers in the summer versus in the old days, it would have been October. So I have a better feel for Tajay. We played against Texas Tech. That's one of the teams we would scrimmage early in the season before the season started 2 or 3 years. We played him early last year. So we
Mm-hmm.
knew Kyler, and more importantly, Kyler knew us, which is why he chose to transfer here. We have good pieces. Ken, Marcus has been through the fires. Tremont has been through the fires. He's the one that made the play against Rutgers.
Yeah.
Probably the play of the tournament for us.
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, made a big shot against Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
He's extremely talented kid. He's one of those top 70 players in the country coming out of high school. But he's always, the thing you haven't seen from him, and his role will change this year. He's going to have more on his plate. Is this kid can really make plays, really pass the ball. The NBA Top 100 camp in Charlottesville 2 years, his senior year in high school, before his senior year in high school, he led that whole camp in assists. He averaged 5.5 assists a game while he was there, and he was a starting point guard for his team. But he can score, he can pass it. Shooting has to improve. He's a better shooter than his numbers indicate, because when you're getting sporadic shots, like Quentin was in a groove. Quentin knew he was going to get 7 or 8 attempts a game, versus Tremont. He had no idea when his shots would come. So, but I think he'll improve in every aspect. But Marcus, Tremont, and Kyler, scored 12 points against Virginia in the national championship game when Virginia won it against Texas Tech. Veteran guard, Tajay Moore, probably the best athlete we've had since I've been here. He is a high-level athlete and knows how to play. Smart kid, good defender, tough, rebounds. Not a great shooter, but a good player. Jamal Shed is intriguing. When he's locked in, he is a contributor. But he's got to mature, be more serious about the game, whether it's on or off the court. But if he can grow up and mature, he can be as good a defender as we've had since we've been here.
Coach Reggie Chaney's back in the pivot. I'm curious, could this be a breakout year for him? Does he get more touches? How will that go on the offensive end?
He can, Ken, and I appreciate you using the word pivot.
Yeah.
You don't hear a lot of guys say he played into pivot last year.
Yeah.
I know what that is.
Yeah.
There's a generation of guys, generation of kids have no idea what you're talking about, but I do.
Yeah. Of course.
Ken, we'll play inside out more this year because we also have Josh Carlton, a big 6'10" kid that transferred from Connecticut. Josh can score that ball down there. He was the most improved player in our league. I think he averaged 8 or 9 points and about 6 or 7 rebounds his sophomore year. Okay. Then he got hurt, and then new coach comes in, and Danny Hurley, and he brought in a couple of his guys he recruited and started playing them. And Josh didn't get to play as much last year. But, watching him these last 3 months, he and Reggie are going to form a really good 1-2 punch down there. But we got a freshman, Ken, named Javier. That's how you pronounce it. Javier. Javier Francis is about 6'8". He's got a 7'5" wingspan. I think his standing reach is 9'2".
Dang.
He's a freshman. People, when you start talking about freshmen, automatically people start thinking they're going to be better than they actually are. He's going to be a good player. Is it going to be this year? Probably not. He's got 2 seniors in front of him, but he's in a position to grow and learn if he'll be patient and not listen to people outside the family and just work and bide his time and not try to live his life in a microwave, preheat the oven to 425, let it heat till the bell rings, and put it in the oven and close it up, and then let it bake for an hour and a half. You got to go through the process. You're either going to live a microwave life, or you're going to live an oven life. And if he dedicates himself to the oven, that kid can be special one day.
Last thing, Coach, I've been preaching all summer that how happy I am with this NIL. At least these kids are going to get some more of the pie, I guess, in every sport. What is your perception on this? And then should there have been something in place to kind of guide it? It seems like there's not any rules on it yet.
Ken, you just hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Some of these kids are going to kill it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name names on my team, but we had a kid sign a deal the other day for $7,000.
Okay.
We got kids that's promoting boarding your animals at this kennel. He posts something for twice a week or twice a month, and they give him $1,500 a month to do it.
Okay.
But you know, if they're going to have this rule and the parameters are kind of like our borders, you know, all I know is that most of our kids have a marketing firm that works with them, that goes out and seeks these opportunities. The only thing that they have to do, and I keep reminding of this, is you can't do a deal without going through compliance. That's where the rules come in. I don't think there's rules as far as how much you can get, what you want to do, but the compliance office on these campuses have to be aware of it. You can't just go and you know, like if you're a Coca-Cola school and all of a sudden you do a big deal with Pepsi, you know, it keeps you from, you know, running counter to maybe what the school's doing. You know, we're a Jordan school. You can't go do a deal with Adidas, you know, things like that. I think those are some parameters, but, you know, I wish this was, if I was in school, I'd like to have a deal with Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, me too.
You know, I like Chick-fil-A. You know, the only thing I don't like about Chick-fil-A is it's closed on Sundays.
Sundays, yeah. I love the lemonade.
Yeah, man. I could eat those. Number one with nuggets. Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong. And Polynesian sauce.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
The Polynesian's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Coach Kelvin Sampson, one of my favorite guests on your Coach. It's a pleasure catching up with you. I'll be looking forward to seeing you guys when you come out to Tampa to play the Bulls this year. And I hope I see you before then, but if not, I wish you the best.
Okay. I appreciate being on, Ken. Stay safe and God bless.
Stay safe and God bless. Thank you.
You bet.